folks, I'm Rhinohorn7. If you didn't know already, I am currently on a journey to read every single DC comic ever released. This is the third full-length video I'm releasing on this. The first covered the era before superheroes were created, so characters like Jack Woods, Slam Bradley, so starting from 1935 and then just, until 1937 about. The second video covered the introduction of Superman all the way up until the introduction of Batman, and this third video will cover the aftermath of the introduction of Batman and really the big boom of superheroes when a ton of new superheroes were getting created and added to the comics, and when DC really became a superhero company, I would say. So I hope you enjoy. Today we start with Movie Comics number 4, Boring as Usual. We move on to Action Comics number 15. In this one, Clark is sent to a place called Kidtown to write a feature about it. Kidtown turns out to be a sort of rehabilitation center for young men, but it is very deep in debt. The creator needs $2 million to keep it running, basically, or it will be foreclosed on. Superman already has $1 million from his oil stock from his previous adventure, which I think is a nice little connective tissue. This is the first time in Superman's story you really had like a connected past. That's not true. It happened in the second issue was a direct continuation of the first, so I just lied to you. Sorry. So, Superman stops some bank robbers and gets a $5,000 prize. He saves a rich guy pinned under a tree and gets $15K, and then he finds out there's a Spanish ship, a Spanish galleon, deep beneath the sea that's held underwater by coral, so, nobody's been able to get to it. And he's like, I want that. I'm going to go get that. Unfortunately for him, two different gangs here, but at the same time. One of the gangs knocks out the crew Clark paid for to join him on his expedition and replace themselves as the crew. So now Clark is on the boat with a gang that he doesn't know is a gang. The other gang takes over a U.S. Navy submarine, which is insane, but they do that. So they reach the gold. Clark goes down on the diving bell. The gang cuts the rope. Superman has to fight some sharks. He gets onto the sunken ship. The other gang, the submarine one, goes down to inspect the ship themselves, but Clark uses an old Spanish soldier like garb, like a costume, to pretend to be a ghost, which scares them off, and they go back to their sub. So then Superman finds the submarine and rips off its propeller. He, picks it up and throws it out in the water that's floating next to the ship. And then he rejoins his crew, which is another gang. And they pretend they didn't cut the rope, but Clark obviously knows. He pretends to go to sleep. They go try to kill him. Obviously, he's invincible, so he survives. And he beats them all up and turns them over to the authorities. And also, in this issue, and just in Golden Age Superman in general so far, he uses his powers outside of his suit, like a lot of the time. He will just use them while he's not in his suit. In this comic, there's 4 different instances of him just using his powers in public, not in his suit. And then he donates the $2 million to Kidtown. Adventure Comics number 41, Sandman and Federal Men were fun, but not much to talk about. All American Comics number 5, same, not much to talk about. Detective Comics number 30, Batman. This is the first time Batman is referred to as a figure of vengeance, I think, which is cool. Dr. Death returns, and he's back to killing and stealing. He's back to doing that. He's now wearing a mummy mask thing, which is weird. But, it gets revealed why he's doing that at the end of the issue. Dr. Death's servant breaks into there's an apartment. There's a woman who has diamonds, right? And Dr. Death is clearly going for jewels. So Batman's like, okay, someone's going to come for these ladies' diamonds, so I'm going to hide in this apartment and watch for them. So Dr. Death's servant breaks in, steals the diamonds, and Batman follows him. They arrive at Dr. Death's hideout. Batman kills the thief in one of the worst ways possible. That's got a bottom 5 ways to die, to be honest. Sticking your head out the window and someone's foot hits your head and you snaps your neck. That's gotta suck. Anyways, eventually, he finds this guy named Ivan, who Dr. Death was supposedly selling the diamonds to, and it turns out Ivan is Dr. Death himself, and he's wearing a face mask, and under his face, it's all melted and burnt away. Slam Bradley. Oh, I like this one. This one was good. This one was a good issue for Slam and Shorty. So someone tries to steal Slam and Shorty's car. The potential thief turns out to be a woman, and some two guys come over and grab her, and they're like dragging her away, and they're like, she belongs in a mental asylum. She's like a mental patient. She escaped from a mental asylum. So Slam Bradley figures out her name, and when he calls and asks for her, turns out she's been dead for 6 months. Apparently, that's obviously not true. He just met her. So Slam tells Shorty that he has a plan. The plan is to get Shorty into a mental asylum. Into the mental asylum that the woman is from. So, he has Shorty dress up in a goofy outfit and go harass a police officer, which ends up getting him a psych evaluation, which ends up getting him sent to the mental hospital. Or asylum. It's an asylum, not a hospital. At the hospital, asylum, I just said it was an asylum. Okay, anyways, at the asylum, the guards, Shorty sees firsthand how poorly the patients are treated. They're like thrown into the showers, and they're boiled and frozen, and it's just terrible all around. And when he complains about the poor conditions, he gets thrown in solitary confinement. He gets thrown in a rubber room in a straitjacket. Shorty does eventually find Gloria, but it's at there's like a ball for some reason, and the male patients and the female patients are not allowed to interact. So obviously they get caught interacting, and they get taken to this room. At the same time, Slam finds out the bad guys' plan is to kill Gloria and get her money for themselves. But then the bad guys they discover Slam eavesdropping, and they knock him out. And it turns out your Shorty got discovered as a detective, and they're about to kill Slam, Shorty, and Gloria. And they bring Slam over to where Shorty and Gloria are being held. Slam releases a gas pellet and knocks out the bad guys, and everything's good. The police arrest the head of the establishment and all the staff. I like this issue. It was fun. Especially the Shorty stuff was pretty, it was funny, I would say. It didn't have a lot of action, but it was a good a detective kind of thing. It was a new sort of setting that I was, interested in. I thought this was a surprisingly alright commentary on the mistreatment of the disabled for a 1939 comic book. Even if that probably wasn't the intention, I still think it was done alright. Feature Funnies 23, More Fun Comics 46, not much happened there. Movie Comics number 5, ass. Now, we get into a sort of interesting era, I would say. This is Mystery Men Comics number 1. Now, why is this significant? It is the first appearance of Blue Beetle. That's important, but it is also significant because, before this, we had Batman, we had Superman. Those were pretty much the only superheroes. We also have Sandman introduced recently. So those are our first 3 superheroes. In this one, 3 more superhero-type characters are introduced. 3. And why is that significant? Well, this comic, I feel, at least, is really the first signifier for the superhero boom, I would say. The eruption of superheroes into popularity in comics. And this is really the first appearance of that. Superman was like the harbinger. Batman was a harbinger. Superman wasn't even intended to be a superhero originally, because those didn't really exist. He was just supposed to be a classic hero that happened to have these cool powers. Batman was the catalyst, right? He didn't start it all necessarily, but he was the first character that was really intended to specifically be a superhero. And then you have Sandman, who isn't really anything. Then you have this, which is the first real warning signs of the boom that's about to happen. That is happening at this moment with Mystery Comics number 1. So let's get right fucking into it. Starting with Green Mask, which was actually, to be honest, pretty mid. I'm not gonna say it was good because it wasn't. Pretty mid. Just a Robin Hood type character. Hopefully better in future issues. I would hope he gets better. I will continue reading him. But just not doesn't have a lot interesting going on right now. Second, introduced here is Zanzibar the Magician. In his first appearance, which is here, Zanzibar is kidnapped by robbers who want to rob a bank. He's forced to aid them in a robbery. They blindfold him and force him to do it, I guess. And then he's put in a steel coffin, and they throw it into the ocean to drown him. And then he escapes because he's a magician, and he beats up the kidnappers and, arrests them. It was pretty fun, I guess, but it was too short. It was like 3 or 4 pages. So it was too short to have any really compelling plot. It wasn't that interesting. The plot wasn't like generic, I wouldn't say, but it wasn't, like particularly unique either. And also, Zanzibar the Magician is kind of just a worse Zambini, if we're being honest. He's just Zambini, but worse. But it was, it was fine. Now we get to the real star of this issue, Blue Beetle. Obviously, even as someone who isn't a Blue Beetle fan, when I went into this, I was excited for this first appearance. Because this is an actual recognizable hero that's still around today, unlike the other two. Right? Nobody's heard of the Green Mask. Nobody knows who Zanzibar the Magician is. But people know Blue Beetle. He has a movie that came out last year. He's probably going to be in Peacemaker at some point. That's been teased a little bit. He's a cool character. He's an interesting character. He's a popular character. He's a well-known character. Sadly, going to this, I was pretty disappointed. I did end up being a little bit disappointed. I still enjoyed it, but I was a little disappointed. The plot was a pretty basic story about a bank robbery. It was only a 4 or 5 page story. It follows Dan Garrett, who is a police officer. It doesn't show you his origin story or anything, which is fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. We don't need origin stories right away. It's just a pretty basic story about a bank robbery that Blue Beetle stops. Dan Garrett is Blue Beetle. I'm not really sure what his powers or gimmick or abilities are yet, but it seems to just be gadgets, which includes a wireless phone, which he made, I guess. I guess that would be impressive for 1939. Not exactly impressive today, but it's cool that he made one of those in 1939. He just kind of stops the bank robbery. It's a pretty generic plot. There's nothing super unique or interesting to it, honestly. Even the gadgets he doesn't really use. He uses 2 or 3 gadgets. And one of them is a wireless phone, which, while, cool for the time, I guess, isn't really it's not really a crime-fighting gadget. It's just a gadget. Also, the suit in this issue sucks. It's terrible. It's bad. It's really bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad, dude. I know I said that 4 times in a row, but it's just, look at it. Look at it. It's bad. It's pretty bad. Despite my gripes, this was better than Zanzibar or Green Ghost, and it was at least a little fun. It was at least a little interesting. Whether that is my, understanding that the character becomes good eventually or not, we will have to see. Hopefully he gets a suit upgrade soon. Now we move on to Smash Comics #1. Now, this is also important because 2 superhero-type characters were introduced in this issue, and I actually did really like one of them. But first, I do want to mention Sheik Carter, one of the first stories in this, mentions the Deadly Star, which is cool. A little bit of connected universe stuff, even if that was just an accident. Also, Wings Wendell is in this, which marks the 3rd or 4th time a DC character has been a pilot named Wing or Wings in some fashion. There was Wing Brady. There was a Wing guy in Mystery Men or something that I remember, and then there's this guy. And there's probably someone else too. They need to stop doing that already. It's 1939. You can come up with better names. You can come up with better names. Other stuff here the first superhero that appears here is in a story called Hooded Justice. That's the title. But the hero is called the Invisible Hood. It follows Kent Thurston, a rich guy who's secretly the vigilante known as the Invisible Hood. It's just a pretty generic story about a jewel thief. There's a jewel gang trying to steal different parts of a necklace that was stolen from India. The Invisible Hood sort of uses a chemical gun, I think. All we see it do here is knock out a guy. So I'm not sure if it's a chemical gun like Sandman's, but it seems like it's pretty similar to Sandman. So it was alright, but, the main character is basically just Sandman, but a little less interesting. The second character here I actually really enjoyed was Hugh Hazard and his Iron Man. Not that Iron Man, a different one. That actually predates that one, the one you're thinking of. So the story starts off with an iron monster, not a monster, but an iron guy terrorizing the city. He's attacking it. And behind it all is an old man who wants money. He wants to get rich. He wants anarchy too, I think. So Hugh Hazard is this guy that works with the police sometimes. I think he's like a private detective or something. So they call him and they're like, "Hey Hugh, we can't handle this. We need you." But they can't call him on his phone because he's not picking up for some reason because he's not at home. So this is maybe the first appearance of a bat signal type gadget thing. Maybe, I'm not sure. I can't, at least in DC it is. I don't know if it is in general, but that's cool either way. Eventually, Hugh does track down the mad scientist, but they find him dead. So they think, okay, he's definitely not behind the robot. But Hugh is like, There's also a letter that I can't read because it's in cursive. I can't read cursive. I can't read that cursive because the lettering's too small and poorly, whatever. Eventually, we find out Von Thorpe actually faked his death, and we find this out because Hugh finds the robot and hides inside of it. So the robot goes back to Von Thorpe, and he pops in and he's like, "Hey, I cut you." Turns out Von Thorpe faked his death by just lying down on the floor, using red paint on his forehead and parts of his body to make it look like he was shot. And then when Hugh and the police chief were busy looking through the house, Von Thorpe just walked out. So they defeat Von Thorpe, and then Hugh steals the robot, which is set to be scrapped, names it Bozo, and declares it'll be crime's worst enemy from here on out. And I actually did really like that one. I thought it was, not only fun, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of peak, to be honest. I am interested in seeing where this goes. I doubt it's going to be, super interesting. I don't think the robot's going to be, have interesting powers or anything. I don't think they're going to do anything special with it. But it's an interesting concept, I think. A guy and his, It's like if Tony Stark's lies about Iron Man being his bodyguard were actually true, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool thought. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, just to recap, in this issue, Batman defeated Dr. Death. Superman helped a rehabilitation center for kids. Slam Bradley and Shorty went to a mental asylum. And we got introduced to the Green Mask, Zanzibar the Magician, Blue Beetle, the Invisible Hood, and, of course, Bozo the Robot. And we begin with Action Comics number 16. We start with Superman. I thought this was, in general, as Action Comics goes, it was a pretty fun issue. Superman, once again, features off against, the establishment and, the government and capitalism and a societal issue he goes up against. And this month, he goes up against gambling. So there's a man he sees trying to hang himself from a tree. Superman saves him and discovers the man was going to kill himself because he lost all his money due to gambling or something. So Superman's like, okay, gambling is a problem. I'm going to destroy gambling and force all the gamblers out of the city. So he goes around Metropolis just kind of smashing shit and threatening to crush people's necks if they don't quit gambling. And he rounds up all the casino runners and makes them gamble for their lives basically, and they all leave town because they're scared of the gambling. It was a bit absurd and preachy and overzealous and just not the greatest well-written gambling thing ever. It wasn't the greatest PSA ever of all time, but it was all right for what it is. For what it was, I think it was okay, and it was fun. It was pretty fun. Also in this issue, Zatara gets abducted by aliens. I am not kidding. He finds aliens. He finds out aliens are real, basically. Tong isn't in this one. Tong doesn't appear. No, Tong does appear, but Tong is barely in it. So he finds a guy who gets abducted by aliens. Zatara saves him from being abducted by aliens. And then Zatara goes and finds this weird triangle-looking alien. He gets teleported to Saturn, where these aliens are from. He meets the Saturn people. He uses his magic to make them think their city disappeared, and doing this, he convinces the king to leave Earth alone. A very fun adventure. Seeing Zatara mess with the aliens and, trick them and sort of aura farm, if you will, make them, scared of humans almost, was pretty funny. It was funny. And it was fun. It was interesting. It was fun. It was funny. This is probably my favorite Zatara story so far. Now, we move on to Adventure Comics number 42. Sandman does like some plane stuff, which is cool. Steve Carson stops some robbers, as always. Not much interesting there. All American Comics number 6. Not much happening. This is probably my second or third least favorite book right now. There's just not much going on in general. It's just, nothing's going on. I don't care about Red, White, and Blue. There's nothing going on there. And Adventure of the Unknown kind of fell off a bit. But hopefully it gets better at, some point, sometime soon. I'm just going to turn down my lighting a bit. Detective Comics 31. I thought this was a very fun issue. Both the Slam Bradley issue and the Batman one were both interesting and fun. Let's start with Batman. This is the first appearance of the Batarang and the Bat Gyro, which is sort of like a bat plane, bat copter type thing that allows him to travel in the skies. It introduces Bruce Wayne's fiancée, Julie Madison, who isn't, a character that appears much in Batman lore, but she is his first ever love interest, which is cool. We get... Oh, yeah. So the story starts off with a man about to be killed by a woman. Batman saves the man. Turns out the woman is Julie Madison, who is seemingly hypnotized into killing him. And the man doesn't die because Batman saved him. And Julie snaps out of the hypnosis. So Batman, So the next day, as Bruce takes her to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is like, "Oh, you should go to Paris and then Hungary, because they have werewolves and you'll get cured too, also." And Bruce is like, "I don't trust that doctor, because it seems like he was hypnotized too, but we're gonna send you to Paris anyways, and I'm just gonna follow you as the Batman, so we can, I guess, find this criminal who's doing this hypnosis things." I get it. I get why he did it, but also using your wife as bait, basically what he's doing. Is kind of crazy. Actually, not even your wife, your fiance, which is probably worse. So Batman follows the boat in secret to Paris, and in Paris, Batman is captured by a monk. Now, this monk has hypnotizing powers. On the boat, actually, Batman did jump on the boat and got attacked by the monk, who was able to stop Batman from moving for a bit, but Batman uses, Batarang to get out of it, using hypnosis. The monk uses hypnosis. So, in Paris, Batman is captured by the monk with hypnosis powers and is forced to evade a couple traps. He gets caught in a net above a pit of snakes, which uses Batarang to cut out of and escape from that. And he has to fight a giant monkey, but he doesn't fight the giant monkey, he escapes from the giant monkey. Because, of course, I never get what I fucking want. I just want to see Batman fight a fucking giant monkey. That's all I want. That's all I want is Batman fighting a fucking giant monkey, but I can't even get that. Nothing ever goes right for me. I knocked over my light. And also my camera. So Batman finds and saves Julie, who is stuck in a car that was said to just drive forward, that crashes into a tree. Batman saves Julie, and they begin to head toward Hungary in the Bat Gyro, which is assumedly home to the monk and his werewolves. So, that's Batman. I did like this one. It was fun, and I'm interested to see how it'll continue. I assume it's a two-parter, so it'll finish in the next issue. I like this monk, Batman's second supervillain, technically, right? If Dr. Death is his first. I wonder if this is just going to be a pattern for Golden Age Batman, if Batman's going to continue being in two-parters every issue. So every issue is going to be part of a two-parter. That would be, fine, interesting. I don't think it's going to continue actually like that, but it would be cool. Yeah, I like this. Okay. Slam Bradley. This was one of my favorite Slam Bradley stories since The Human Fly, which was in issue 9. So Slam and Shorty go to the zoo for a day off. They see this guy who's trying to feed the animals a lit cigarette, so Slam obviously beats his ass. And then the next day, turns out the guy was murdered. He had his head torn off. Someone tore off this guy's head. The police are like, we don't suspect you. Don't worry, I know you wouldn't do that, Slam. Because Slam works with the police often. But Slam's like, okay, we gotta figure out who did this to this guy. Turns out, there's been quite a few murders happening at this zoo. With bears, so Slam and Shorty go to the zoo the next day. There's a photographer there. He climbs up on the cage and is taking pictures of the bear. The zookeeper comes over and is trying to pull him down off the bars to stop him from, toppling over. The photographer falls into the bear cage, and ends up dying before Slam can save him. Yeah, so Slam and Shorty continue their investigation. They work with the zookeeper, a guy named Duncan, I think. Durrigan, something like that. They split up at one point during the night to see if they can find this killer. Shorty gets attacked by someone unrecognizable, who knocks him out and puts him in a cage with a baby bear cub. Slam ends up saving him, but Shorty does remember that the person who trapped him was left-handed, and that's going to be important for later. So, eventually, Slam and Shorty get a call. Oh, hey, Durrigan, or the zookeeper, whatever his name was, found the killer and shot him. Oh, case closed. That was easy. But Shorty's like, is it though? So that night, Shorty sneaks out and goes to the zookeeper's house. He throws a ball at the zookeeper. The zookeeper catches it in his left hand. Of course, the zookeeper's like, what? You think I'm the killer because I caught it in my left hand? But then Shorty's like, the killer also had a limp, and you have a limp. That's a pretty uncommon combination, isn't it? So then the zookeeper's like, fine, you caught me, but you're gonna die now. And Shorty's like, actually, I didn't catch you at first. I just had a hunch. I had no clue you had a limp. I had no clue the killer had a limp. I didn't see him walking. I just had a hunch, and I, tricked you into admitting it. But then, Shorty's kind of, regretful that he did that, because he is put in a cage with a tiger a few seconds later, and almost killed before Slam Bradley comes in, saves Shorty from the cage. The tiger jumps on the zookeeper and tries to kill him. Slam shoots the tiger, kills it, stops it from killing the zookeeper. The zookeeper's like, I couldn't let those people hurt my animals, so I tried to kill them. And I was going to try to kill you two because you two were going to arrest me. And that's the issue, pretty much. And I thought it was fun. Yeah. I thought it was good. I liked it. Okay. Feature Comics number 24. More Fun Comics number 47. Not much happening in this one still. Movie Comics number 6. Last ever issue of Movie Comics. Still ass. I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it. Mystery Men number 2. Mystery Men Comics number 2, sorry. Green Mask was a little racist this issue, but I did enjoy this issue a bit more than the last, despite the racism. The suit seemed a little better, but maybe the art is just cleaner. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back and look at the first issue a little more carefully to decide if I really like the suit better. In this issue, Green Mask basically just takes down a Chinese drug ring. Zanzibar, the magician, Zanzibar goes back in time to ancient Greece. This one was weird. This one was weird. I did like this Zanzibar the magician one a little bit, but it was kind of weird. He goes back in time to ancient Greece, and Zeus, the king of the gods, has kidnapped Venus, aka Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, which is a bit confusing because it's Zeus and Venus. Venus is the Roman name. If this is ancient Greece, they would be using the ancient Greek names for both. Just saying. Maybe get a little bit of a better grasp on history, whoever wrote this. DC Comics, maybe get a little bit of a better grasp on history. So he fights Zeus and defeats Zeus in a fight, just wrestling, kinda. And he beats Zeus and he saves Venus, I guess. Which, technically, as far as I'm aware, makes Zanzibar the first ever DC character to defeat an actual god. Zanzibar the Magician is the first ever god-level DC character. Which is kind of funny, because nobody knows who that is. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle has a suit upgrade, although I'm not entirely sure it's necessarily an upgrade. It does look, I don't want to say it's better than the previous one. It is more of a superhero suit, I guess. That's true. It's an upgrade in that regard. At least this one looks like a superhero suit, right? But he does consistently, throughout this comic, look like a 12-year-old because of it, though. It seems like a super suit, a teenage hero background character would wear in like a 2000s superhero, kid coming of age movie. And that's the best I can describe this suit, which is also on screen right now. Right now, actually. Right now. Whoever's editing this, fuck you. Pretty fun story, despite being a pretty generic robbery situation again. Blue Beetle tries to stop a robbery and is kidnapped, and then escapes and stops the robbers. That's pretty much the entire story. Pretty sure Slam Bradley and Shorty went through like this exact type of story, this exact story, in like their second or third adventure. So, not exactly unique, I wouldn't say. Now we move on to Smash Comics number 2. Second last issue of today. Hugh Hazard. We begin with Hugh Hazard and his Iron Man. Not that Iron Man. Hugh Hazard gives the robot, Bozo, the ability to fly. For whatever reason, the police commissioner, I think he's the police commissioner, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's the police commissioner, but I think he is. That's from what I remember. From what I wrote in my notes. The police commissioner doesn't trust the robot, and because it was, created to cause fear and terror, and orders you to destroy it. I wonder why he doesn't trust the robot that was created to kill people and steal from people and hurt people and destroy buildings and destroy cities and make an old guy rich. I wonder why he doesn't trust that robot. Which, by the way, does not have a mind of its own. Confirmed in this issue. No personality, no mind of its own. Just remote-controlled robot. Specifically created to destroy. So, it's no surprise that he doesn't trust it. When some rich guy's daughter is kidnapped, Bozo ends up helping save the day. He, destroys the plane or something and saves the girl. And stops the kidnapper. The commissioner allows you to keep him. I did enjoy this issue. I enjoyed it enough. I enjoyed it a pretty good amount. But I do wish Bozo appeared a little more. He was pretty much only in the very beginning, in the last, he was in the first page, and he was in the last 2 or 3 pages, but nothing else in between that. I wish he appeared more, and I wish he actually was a character and not just a tool. I was hoping he'd at least have some personality or a mind of his own. That would be cool, but he's basically just a weapon. He's basically just a suit of armor that you're not in. It's like Tony Stark controlling one of his suits from the safety of his own home. Invisible Justice was really good this issue. It was a lot better than last issue. Renamed from Hooded Justice, it was called Hooded Justice last issue. The Invisible Hood changes powers. In the previous issue, he used a gas gun. Now he doesn't do that anymore. Nope, he's changed because he hears about a scientist who discovered a way to make people invisible. He discovered a chemical mixture that can make things invisible when it's sprayed on them. So he gets kidnapped by a gang, and the Invisible Hood hears about this. So he decides, I'm going to go save that scientist and maybe be able to go invisible. So Invisible Hood infiltrates the gang and finds a scientist who sprays his hood with the invisibility chemical, which gives Invisible Hood the power of invisibility. Count how many times I just said invisible. It's a lot. So the Hood does manage to take down the gang, but the scientist ends up getting shot and dies. Which means, Invisible Hood is now unique in this world as the only invisible person ever to exist. And also the first invisible DC Comics character. Bring back Invisible Hood as a Wonder Woman villain. I did enjoy this issue, and the power of invisibility will hopefully make Invisible Hood more unique and interesting in the future. He is no longer what am I saying? He's no longer a Sandman knockoff. Now, we move on to the final issue of today. Superman number 2. Now, let me just say, this is a massive improvement on Superman issue 1, because now it is actually all new material rather than, just stuff, just reprints. This is the first DC comic to feature a specific character that also features all new material. So we start with the first story in this issue, The Redemption of Larry Trent, which is my favorite issue, my favorite story of this issue. The other two are good as well, but this is the best. So Larry Trent is a former boxing heavyweight champion of the world. Unfortunately, in his last fight, he lost his title because his manager drugged him before the match, and he ended up losing because of that. And from there, it was just
downhill. He kept losing fights. He kept, he got disrespected. He lost his self-dignity. All of it. So he decides to go down to a bridge and kill himself. He jumps, but Superman sees this and saves him. So Larry explains the story, and then Superman comes up with an idea. Yo, Larry, I'm going to pretend to be you and box. I'm going to be in a boxing match, and I'm going to pretend to be you. So Larry's like, okay, you do that, man. As long as you train me on the side. So Superman does start training Larry on the side, while also winning boxing matches in his name. Eventually, we make it to the fight for the title of champion, and Superman makes Larry actually do the fighting this time. He's like, okay, Larry, I've trained you up enough. You're doing the fight this time. Larry's like, I don't know if I can. Superman's like, you got this. So Larry goes in. He's fighting. By the way, he has his old manager back now. His old manager is his manager again. The same guy that drugged him. So now, between rounds, Larry's manager comes up to him and starts trying to force him to drink something. He's like, hey, you need a drink. Superman comes in, smashes the bottle. No. He grabs the bottle. He forces it down the manager's throat. He forces the manager to drink it. So now the manager's running out, yelling he's been poisoned. But there's another guy in the crowd who works with the manager. He has a gun. He's aiming at Larry. He's like, I'm going to shoot him, and he's not going to win. Superman jumps in, puts his hand in front of the gun. Boom! Nothing happens. Bullet, obviously doesn't make it past Superman's palm. And then, whoop-pow! Larry wins by knockout. Boom! And Larry becomes champion again. Very, very fun. Sort of similar to an earlier issue of Superman where he took over that football player's life. Although this one was consensual. The football one, he just kind of he did kind of kidnap and drug a guy in like the second or third issue of Action Comics. This time, at least Larry wasn't kidnapped or drugged. Superman Champions Universal Peace is the second story in this issue. I did enjoy this one, although it's not the most well-written story ever. It's just, some political things are a little... Basically, Clark is sent to interview a scientist for the Daily Star. The scientist has created a gas so deadly that it can pierce any gas mask. So it's, it's deadly. It's like breathe this in and you die immediately, deadly. Later on, after the interview, Clark finds out the scientist has been killed. So, when Clark was interviewing the scientist, he saw some men, waiting outside, and after he left, it turns out the scientist was found dead the next day, so Clark's like, it was probably those men, I'm gonna go follow them. Turns out, they're, racketeers, who are going to Boravia, a country that is currently embroiled in a civil war. So, the formula will obviously affect the war, dangerously, end up in millions of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives being lost, if not millions. And will cause one side of Boravia to win over the other. But Superman stops the formula from getting into the wrong hands, forces the two sides of Boravia to sign a peace treaty. So he goes, so the two sides are having a meeting. The two, leaders of each side are having a meeting. And they're like, we can't come to an agreement. I don't want to agree to you. I don't want to agree to you. Superman breaks it. He starts smashing pillars. There's one pillar left holding up the roof. He's like, I'm going to smash this pillar if you don't sign the peace treaty. And then we're all going to die under this roof. And they're like, okay, we'll sign the peace treaty. Which, they're gonna go back on that pretty soon, right? The second they're out of that building, they're going back on that, dude. The second Superman's out of the country, they're going back on that. That's not gonna work. That doesn't work. Forcing people to sign a peace treaty like that, not gonna work. They're just gonna go back on it the second they are able to. He destroys the formula, and, hurrah! So yeah, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy this story, even if it wasn't, the greatest political story ever. It wasn't very structurally sound, I suppose. It doesn't hold under scrutiny. Also, notably, the first appearance of Boravia, which, two things, is in the new Superman movie, and is notably older than, which is, kind of crazy. I should say, not. Superman and the Skyscrapers. This is fun, but probably the worst story of the issue. It's also the shortest. It's like 7 or 8 pages long. So there's a skyscraper being built, and for the last 5 days, a construction worker has died each day. They've been falling to their death. So 5 deaths in 5 days because of this skyscraper. So Superman is like, damn, that's not good. I gotta investigate this thing at night. So Superman discovers a guy sort of on the skyscraper. He's like cutting the bars, which ends up in the daytime causing people to fall. So Superman, stops this guy. He forces him to tell him who his boss is. He tracks down his boss. He forces his boss to tell him who his boss is. So he tracks down the first guy's boss's boss, who turns out to be Nat Grayson, the rival of the person who is creating the skyscraper, which is like Bruce Inc. So Nat Grayson is killing these people to slow down the construction of the skyscraper so that he can sort of keep a monopoly on construction of the city. So Superman forces Nat to confess, and he takes him down basically. Yeah. Overall, very fun issue. I do like the colors in this better than the colors in Action Comics. It's not a massive difference, but it's like a bit brighter, a bit softer almost, I want to say. I enjoyed every story here, even if the Bravio plot was, not the best done in some places. I still enjoyed it. Golden Age Superman's kill count has got to be like a little over 20. He kills so many people. He kills like at least 2 people every story, dude. This guy loves killing people. Like, I'm not even kidding. He has no, he's not sad at all when someone dies. Which is not how we today know Superman, right? Who tries to avoid any death. But, in the Golden Age, Superman's just killing people left and right. He still tries to avoid killing people for the most part, but he doesn't try, that hard. He won't go out of his way to kill someone, right? If he doesn't need to kill someone, he won't. But if killing someone is the easiest way to stop what's going on, he's going to kill them. And if someone dies by accident, he's not going to care. Anyways, I enjoyed this issue of Superman a lot. Thought it was fun. Thought it was interesting. I think I did like most of the comics I read today. I was feeling a little down, a little burnt out yesterday, but I'm reinvigorated today, so hopefully that carries into tomorrow. I have not uploaded a video in the last 4 days. That's a mistake on my part, a pretty big one. But don't worry, we are back on track, I promise. Now we start today with Detective Comics number 34. We have a Batman mission in this issue. He's now cleaned up the monk stuff. He's finished up with that. We got his backstory in the previous issue, I believe. So sorry I missed that. I didn't miss it, but you missed it. Anyways, this issue, there's some. He's still in Paris. There's a guy. I'm not gonna talk about the plot because the plot sucks. It sucks. It's just bad. The Question is here. It's not actually the Question. It's just a guy who really looks like the Question. The secret identity stuff in this issue is dumb. They should have figured out who he was easily. It was very it was just dumb. It was dumb. The bad guy does experiments on people, and those are never explained. It's never explained how he did that or why he did that. He just kind of did it. So that's cool. Slam Bradley. So in the Slam Bradley section of Detective Comics, Slam and Shorty got involved in a war between the Twerpins and the Luthorians. Luthorians. This is before Lex Luthor exists. So, they get involved in the war, whatever. Dude, this issue is so repetitive with the Slam and Shorty adventure, dude. They keep getting saved and captured by people. They get captured by one guy, and then they get saved, and they think, oh, we're safe now. But then they get captured by a different guy, and that keeps happening over and over and over. It happens. I'm not even exaggerating when I say it happens 8 times. They get saved by someone and then captured by the same person. It's insane. It just keeps happening. It's funny, but it is insane. Also, Slam does a baseball thing. Feature Comics number 27, More Fun Comics number 50, which is the first DC comic to reach 50 issues, is More Fun Comics number 50. Honestly, the issue number is the most interesting thing about this comic right now. No offense. Mystery Men Comics number 5. Green Mask, very similar situation to that one Slam Bradley issue where he was at the mansion. I don't know if I talked about this on the. I don't remember if this was on a weekend I didn't talk about this, but Slam Bradley at one point was at a mansion. There was a whole thing with wills and getting money. I don't know. I'm not gonna go into that. Basically, in this one, a millionaire dies and splits his money among his 4 kids, stating that if any of the younger three die, their money will go to the eldest. And then it turns out the sister, who is not the eldest, was killing them so she could get the money, and then she dies. I don't know. I don't really understand that, but it's probably just a wording issue. Blue Beetle. Beetle now has his classic costume. This was a worthless disguise. He got the disguise. He got a whole grandpa makeup disguise, and then used it for actually like 5 seconds. He just wasted so much time getting that. It was genuinely useless. It did nothing. It did nothing. They noticed he was Blue Beetle immediately, and he just turned into his Blue Beetle form and took off the fake mask. Why did he do that? He was disguised for 3 panels. 3! Smash Comics number 5. Invisible Justice. There's much more fun with the invisibility. There's like some fun invisibility stuff, and it's just a basic kidnapping plot. On to Superman number 3. Okay, so Clark finds this kid, and he saves him. And he switches into Clark Kent when the kid's unconscious, and he's like, hey, I'm Clark Kent. He takes the kid to eat, because the kid hasn't eaten in 2 days. Dude, the kid says, I haven't eaten in 2 days. And Clark's like, Clark's watching him eat, and he's like, you must be starving. Clark Kent, the kid hasn't eaten in 2 days. Duh. Obviously he's starving. Duh. Obviously. You fucking dumbass, Clark Kent. So Clark hears this kid who starts, complaining about how the state orphanage just basically abuses and starves all the children and makes them do slave labor. And Clark thinks, when he hears this, his very first thought, I'm not even kidding, this is his very first thought. This is his very first thought upon hearing this information. His very first thought is, this would make a good story for the newspaper I work at. Clark, what the fuck? Clark, dude. You're sitting here listening to how this kid is getting abused and slave labored, and you're thinking, I could get a front pager from this. I could get a good front pager from this, man. Oh, this is good. This is juicy, man. Clark, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Fucking classic journalist, though. This is, by the way, how all journalists think. I have journalist friends, trust me. Yes, this is how they all think. All of them. Every single one. So, Clark then decides to convince the kid to go back into the orphanage to be his spy. His undercover spy. He says, hey kid, you're being abused and starved and forced to do slave labor at this orphanage. You should go back so you can be my undercover agent. Clark, what the fuck is wrong with you? There are better ways of doing this. There are better ways of figuring out what the orphanage is doing. Don't send him back. Don't do that. Don't do that, Clark Kent. Don't do that. You fucking asshole. He's actually a dumbass in this issue, dude. He's so stupid. What do you mean the kid... Dude, oh my god, this part pissed me off so much. Okay, so Clark takes the kid back to the orphanage, and so the superintendent opens the door, and he's immediately like an asshole, like, I'm gonna beat you, kid, why did you, blah, 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 blah. And Clark's like, I'm a journalist, and the superintendent is immediately like, yo, you're a journalist? Wait, I was just playing around, and Clark's like, oh, that guy seemed nice, maybe the kid was lying. Clark, you fucking dumbass! You fucking dumbass! You're so dumb. You're so stupid, Clark Kent. You're actually so dumb. What do you mean the kid might have been lying? Dude, the superintendent was so obviously putting on an act. You saw him threatening to abuse the child. You saw that. You saw that, Clark Kent. You saw it. And you decided, maybe the kid's lying. You're so dumb, dude. He pissed me off so much this issue. He pissed me off so much, man. Lois is really mean to Clark in this issue, but guess what? He fucking deserves it. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, he's a little bit of a creep. He's kind of a fucking incel. At first I thought, okay, he's just putting on an awkward act. But then you get this panel. Dude, he's like getting his employer to force her to work with him so that he can be close to her. He's actually just a fucking incel. Dude, Golden Age Clark Kent is just an incel. I'm not joking. These panels, bro. He's a fucking incel. This entire issue, he's just a fucking incel. And it's not just this comic, too. This is something I've realized just about Golden Age Clark in general. You would think the little weak, fumbly guy, fucking, I can't get girls, Bart, is a bit, right? It is a bit. He's pretending. But he's also just genuinely an incel. He's actually like, why don't these women want me? Clark, the entire point of your act is for them to not like you. That doesn't mean you have to be an incel. You can do that without being a weirdo incel. And he's not thinking like, oh, if I make her think this, she's gonna believe my act more. No, he's genuinely thinking, haha, now she'll have to spend time with me. He's actually thinking that. You're crazy, Clark. You're a bad guy. You're a fucking weirdo, man. You're a fucking weirdo, Clark Kent. You're a fucking weirdo, man. What the fuck is wrong with you? So anyways, for most of this issue, Lois is smarter than Clark, but they eventually take down the evil orphanage. And the rest of the issue is mostly reprints. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. Superman's still a nice guy, but Clark is an incel. It makes no sense. Action Comics number 20, Ultra Humanite returns as a woman. Ultra Humanite stories are getting kind of boring. It's so repetitive. He keeps reappearing and undying. And it's just like, how many times can one guy come back to life and not be dead secretly? It's just like, I'm getting tired of it. Adventure Comics 46, nothing interesting. All American Comics number 10, nothing interesting. Detective Comics 35, this Batman issue is really racist, and for some reason Batman loves killing people in it. Also, Slam Bradley, the art is no longer by Joe Shuster, which I was really disappointed by, because it really does not feel the same without Shuster's art. Like, there was just like a vibe that his art had that just fit Slam so perfectly, and it's not there without his art, man. It just does not feel the same. I still like it. I still love Slam Bradley. It just doesn't feel the same. Slam Shorty joined the army in this one, I guess. Today I did read my 10 comics, and today we will also get the first appearance of The Flash, so be excited for that, and that will be coming very soon after I cover 2 comic books. First, Double Action Comics number 2. There's no number 1 for some reason. Not entirely sure how that works. This issue is just reprints of pre-superhero DC comics, like Sandra of the Secret Service, Dr. Occult, stuff like that. Nothing really interesting or, too good. It's just reprints. I've read all of these before. I recognize most of them. Obviously, I've read so many things at this point already that I don't remember everything, but I remember a lot of things. I remember a lot of things from this book because, there were mostly memorable ones, right? The Govonian Affair, Dr. Occult's first couple issues, everything, I remember. Anyways, then we move on to Future Comics number 28. I hate this one. I hate all of them. Used to be called Future Funnies, now it's called Future Comics. It's been Future Comics for a while. I don't care about it. It's ass. It sucks. It's ass. This is why I don't, talk about it most of the time, because all I have to say is it sucks. It's unfunny. It's boring. It's terrible. It's the worst part of my day. Genuinely, reading these comics and talking with them is the best part of my day, but reading specifically Future Comics is the worst part of my day, which is not great, but anyways. Now we get to Flash Comics number 1, aka the first appearance of the Flash. Not Barry Allen, not Wally West, Jay Garrick, the first Flash. So, in this comic, Jay Garrick is a college student. He's just kind of like a loser college student, right? He's a random nobody. He's a scrub on the football team and also a very smart scientist. And he goes up to a woman and he's like, hey, want to go on a date with me? And she's like, no, because you're a scrub on the football team. Loser. But he's on the football team, so clearly he's good enough to be on the football team, but because he's a scrub, he's not good enough for you. But he's on the football team, which is already pretty impressive, I would say. But anyways, and also a scientist on the side? I mean, come on. Anyways, during his sciencing, he's experimenting with hard water and trying to, split it apart? I don't know, I don't fully understand this. Anyways, he accidentally breaks open a vial of chemicals. And the breathing the hard water gases gives him super speed somehow. I don't really understand how. I think it's something to do with mercury, because I know there's mercury in hard water. And Mercury is the god of speed in Greek mythology. And also, Mercury, I think, wears a hat, like Jay Garrick Flash does. And it's very obviously Jay Garrick Flash is inspired by the Greek god Mercury. The Greek god is Hermes. The Roman god is Mercury. The first 2 things Jay uses his new super speed powers for, guess what they are? Number 1, getting a girl. The girl from earlier, Joan, who rejected him, he decides, to go up to her and say, hey, I have super speed. Look at me, I run super fast. She's like, whoa, I love you. But I'll only be with you if you win the football game. And he's like, okay. So that brings us to the second thing he uses his superpowers for, which is, you guessed it, to win a college football game. which is a good use of his powers, I would say. But everybody knows he has super speed now, which is a little confusing, right? Because there is some secret identity stuff at the end of this issue, but he did just use his super speed in front of, like, at least 1,000 people, probably. I don't know how many people were at a college football game, but I know it's, like, pretty popular. So I'd assume it's, like, maybe a couple thousand people that know his secret now. And I feel like if someone with super speed was at a college football game, at any sort of sports game, no matter how little the league, I feel like that would be, like, pretty big news. I feel like everybody would know pretty quickly. So the secret identity stuff here is a little confusing. I don't fully understand how that works, but, you know, I guess it's not really the focus of this book right now. Anyways, after that, after he graduates about a year later, he officially becomes the Flash and stops a bunch of racketeers that escape the law. And he becomes the Flash for the first time. It doesn't really explain how he gets his costume or how he makes it. I guess he just found a metal helmet. I guess he probably just told a guy he had super speed and got him to make him a suit, dude. This guy does not care about his secret identity. So he probably just went up to a tailor and said, "Hey, I have super speed, make me a costume." Anyways, Joan's father has been kidnapped, and she's like, "Hey, Jay, you gotta help me." So then there's a car passing by them as they're talking on the street, and the guy in the car shoots at Joan. Of course, Jay Garrick has super speed, so he catches the bullet. Pretty cool, pretty impressive, I will say. I can't catch a bullet yet. I'm working on it, but not yet. Not there yet. The racketeers plan to use Joan to get her father to tell them about his invention, which is like a nuclear bomb or something. Something to do with atomic fusion, I think. And the bad guys are called the Faultless Four. By the way, I said racketeers. My notes are wrong. They're not racketeers. They're just different guys. These are different guys than the ones Jay stopped earlier. These guys are called the Faultless Four, which I assume means they've never made a mistake. They're a group of criminals that have never made a mistake. So one of the Faultless Four goes to Joan's house because he's the one that shot at her, and he didn't see Jay catch the bullet. So he's like, okay, I killed Joan. He goes to the house to see her body, I think, and just to confirm. Jay Garrick's out there, and he's like, "Who are you?" Then Joan comes out the door, and the bad guy's like, "Oh, shit, I gotta go." And then Jay follows him. So the bad guy goes to the secret base and is like, to his 3 buddies, "Hey, she's not dead. I don't know what happened. I've never missed a bullet shot before. I don't know how this happened." But Jay follows him. And then there's like a whole thing where Jay, deals with them. He gets shot at, and it explains how he catches the bullets. There's no, because he moves at the same speed that the bullet moves, which means there's no friction, which confuses me a little bit, because if there's no friction, how does he catch the bullet? Wouldn't it just slip through his fingers? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I'm just an idiot. So then Jay saves Joan's father, but the Faultless Four decide they're going to make a big stink at Coney Island to distract everyone while they kill Joan, to make her father want to work with him, I guess. And then Flash runs in and saves Joan from the bad guys. He follows the Faultless Four back to their secret base where the Hunchback tries to kill everyone, including Jay, but Jay follows him and stops him. And then the guy escapes in his car, which is confusing because Jay Garrick, how did you let him get to his car? You are fast enough to stop that. I know you're fast enough to catch a bullet. You can stop a guy running to his car at probably slower speeds than the average human. I don't know why you let him get to his car. But it doesn't matter, I guess, because you stopped him anyways. But, you could have just stopped him earlier, it feels like. Anyway, this is maybe the first superhero who has a girlfriend that knows her secret identity, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. But yeah, that's the first appearance of the Flash, which is it was good. I liked it. Once again, the secret identity stuff is a little confusing because it feels like everybody knows, but also at the end of the book, it's made clear that Joan's father doesn't know, which I guess just because he was imprisoned, yeah, you could say that. But I feel like the writers just really weren't thinking about secret identity stuff when they made this, which is fine. It's like, one of the first superheroes ever. This is what, the 5th or 6th DC superhero in total, which is, you're not gonna really understand the formula fully by this point. So you know that's fair. It's fine. I'm not gonna like fully complain. I'm just saying, it's a little, you know, confusing at times. Also, in this issue of Flash Comics #1, we get the first appearance of Hawkman in a story about him. I'm not going to talk about this one as much as I talked about the Flash, because I spent 8 minutes on the Flash alone, pretty much. Hawkman, so Carter Hall is the reincarnated Prince Khufu from ancient Egypt. Prince Khufu and his lover Shayara were sacrificed by Hafset, meaning all three of them are reincarnated now. Khufu is tied to Anubis, the hawk god or something. I'm not entirely sure about that. Carter, in the Marvin world, runs into Shiara, who reveals she's had dreams about their past, but hasn't like experienced the memories fully, as he has. He has the memories, he remembers everything, but she does not, which is like a common thing in their lore, I think, from what I know. So Carter uses these 9th metal wings, which are like the 9th metal that defy gravity, I think, or something. That's how it's explained in the book. And a wooden quarterstaff to stop Hastor, who I believe is reborn Hafset, from like using like evil electricity to take over the city or something. I don't know. Hastor attempts to sacrifice Shiara, but Carter as Hawkman saves her, and also, yeah, that's Hawkman, pretty much. It's Hawkman's first appearance. It's pretty basic, just origin story. I feel like not a lot has changed in the status quo for them, from what I know. Obviously, like I've heard, like the Hawks whole stuff is complicated, especially like Hawk woman / girl. But basically, that's it. That's it for the Hawks today. I do want to point out that there's a lot of like references to gods in this comic, right? You got the Flash, which is obviously Mercury, Hawkman, which is Anubis, probably some other things. I don't remember. I read these like 12 hours ago, man. Anyways, moving on. More Fun Comics #1, consistently mid as always. Mystery Men Comics #6. Green Mask, just his first story, like again, but different. Or maybe it was Invisible Mask. It was Invisible Hood's first story. Doesn't matter. It's just the story again, but with Green Mask now, and it's longer. Blue Beetle. Some thugs try to force a carnival runner to add slot machines to his carnival, because I guess they want to cut or something. They try to kill the carnival runner, but cops come over, and one of them is Garrett, aka Blue Beetle. So Dan pretends to be one of the gangsters' partners, and then gets to their boss, and then he makes them think they killed him, and then he stops them. Man, I don't know. I don't know. It's fine. Blue Beetle is like okay right now, man. It doesn't have like a whole lot going for it, I wouldn't say. Smash Comics #6. I don't fucking care, man. I don't care about anything going on in this book. I don't care about the robot that doesn't do anything. I don't care about Zanzibar. No, Zanzibar was in the last one. I don't care. I don't care so much that I'm forgetting who's in what. I don't really care about Invisible Hood. Invisible Hood's still okay, but like, I don't care. Action Comics 21. Ultra Humanite has survived once again, is still a woman, and has another devious plot. Whoa! No way! Ultra Humanite has a devious plot? No way! I'm getting fucking sick of Ultra Humanite! Stop! With fucking Ultra Humanite, bro. There's so... Dude, I don't remember the last time we had a Superman story that wasn't about fucking Ultra Humanite. I don't think you have to throw them away forever, but stop! Just take a break from Ultra Humanite, please! Please! Every Action Comics issue has been about fucking Ultra Humanite since number 13. The only place we get a break is fucking Superman, which is every 3 months and stuff. I'm fucking pissed, bro. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of fucking Ultra Humanite. God damn you. Fuck. I don't know. The fucking plot. There's like some nuclear bomb blowing up the city or something. I don't know. He makes atomic fusion. He makes an atomic bomb. And Superman saves the day. And Adventure Comics #47. Sandman is more interesting than Superman right now because Superman's just repeating the same fucking villain over and over and over again. Still not that interesting, by the way. Some girl figures out Sandman's identity and forces him to help her, blah, 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 whatever. All American Comics #11, ass. Detective Comics 36, Batman, hey, first appearance of a blue suit. I don't think it's actually blue, but they had to shade it that way, whatever. I don't, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, that Superman rant actually just pissed me off because I remember how mad I was reading that comic. Oh my god, bro. I'm so fucking tired, man. I'm tired of goddamn fucking Ultra Humanites, man. I'm tired. I'm sick of it. It's really just every issue. It's just every issue is fucking Ultra Humanite. It's just Ultra Humanite. Oh, I'm Ultra Humanite. I'm fucking bald. Oh, I'm not bald anymore because I'm a woman now. And also, I have another plot to kill you, Superman. I'm gonna fail again. And I'm gonna die at the end of this issue. And the next issue, I'm back. Fuck. Anyways, back to Batman. First appearance of Dr. Hugo Strange. Hugo used like a perpetual fog machine that allows his men to commit as many crimes as they want. Batman stops Strange. Hugo vows revenge. Slam Bradley. Running back with racism against the Chinese. And also I miss Shuster because the art, not a big fan. Not a big fan of the art. The art isn't bad. It just doesn't. It feels like it doesn't fit Slam Bradley. So today I read Future Comics number 29. Once again, I hate Future Comics. Don't like it at all. It's terrible. Flash Comics number 2. Here, neither story was particularly unique or interesting, which is unfortunate, but oh well. More Fun Comics number 52. We had the introduction to the Spectre. The first ever appearance of the Spectre. So Jim Corrigan is a detective. And he's about to get engaged. Then a guy comes to him and he's like, "Hey, Jim." So Jim Corrigan he's gonna go to a dinner later, right? And his girlfriend is there, and he knows she's going to propose to him. So then a guy that he works with, I assume, a guy who's like undercover in the gang, comes to him and he's like, "Hey, there's a gangster that's he's gonna be doing like an arms deal down at this place, like during the party." And Jim's like, "Okay, I gotta skip the party, I guess." So he skips the party. What's going on? He skips the party. He stops the arms deal. His girlfriend finds him at the hospital where he's getting like stitched up because he got a couple scratches, whatever. And she chews him out. And then they're both, they're taking a ride home, taking a taxi or whatever. And then they get kidnapped by some thugs. They both get kidnapped by Gat, that's the gangster's like name. I guess it's like his nickname. I don't know what happens to his girlfriend, but Jim himself is put in a barrel, which is then filled with cement and water and thrown into the ocean. Jim fucking drowns. He dies. His soul is going up to heaven, but then it stops, and there's a disembodied voice that's like, "Jim, no. You go back down there, and you're gonna be a spirit of vengeance, and you're gonna stop all crime. And then you can come up to heaven. But until then, you gotta stop all crime." And then he hears a scream. He's like, "Hey, that's my girlfriend. I recognize that voice." He walks through a wall, and then cliffhanger. Boom. Who knows what happens next? I really like this comic. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see where he gets like his costume. This is a very it's an interesting idea for a superhero, even though the plot itself isn't like super original. The gangster and the girlfriend stuff, especially, it's not like Bart Reagan already did all his girlfriend stuff, which is funny because Jerry Siegel wrote this and Bart Reagan. So this is just the same girlfriend stuff that Bart Reagan went through with Sally. And then there's the Spectre himself, which is it's cool. The powers are interesting, and the way he gets the powers are cool. And I know it gets expanded upon later and it gets cooler, but for now, right now, it's like, it's not super good. It's not uninteresting though. Mystery Men Comics number 7. We have Blue Beetle. There's a group of thugs that's pretending to be the Beetle to commit crimes, and Blue Beetle stops them and clears his name, which is a pretty cool. It's like the first time we've seen a storyline of the hero having their reputation tarnished. That's not true. No, it is, because there's that one comic, there's that one issue with Superman, where someone was pretending to be him, but they weren't like tarnishing his reputation. They were just having him do a bunch of advertisements. These guys are actually doing crimes under Blue Beetle's name. Smash Comics number 7, nothing interesting there, and then we get to Wiz Comics number 2. Which introduces Captain Marvel, aka the first ever child superhero. Billy Batson is a young, homeless child who sleeps in the subway. While he's selling newspapers outside, he is approached by a stranger wearing all black in the middle of the night. And the stranger tells Billy to follow him. Billy's like, "Okay, I'll follow you, weird stranger." Did they not have Stranger Danger in 1940? Did they not have that? Was that not a thing yet? Because that's dangerous, Billy Batson. That's dumb. Actually, that's stupid of you to do. Don't do that. But anyways, he follows the guy, I guess. And then he gets on like a weird magic cosmic train. He goes to this place. And there's this guy named Shazam, and Shazam is like, hey, if you say my name, you get my powers. So Billy says Shazam, and he becomes Captain Marvel with these powers. I don't remember them. I'm not gonna be able to repeat them. Whatever. Those powers. And then Billy, the guy dies because a 100,000-pound crate falls on his head or something. But it was supposed to be there. It's like when it breaks, it kills him. But he died on purpose, I think. And he's like 3,000 years old. I don't know. Anyways, Billy has superpowers now. When he says Shazam, he becomes Captain Marvel, the great superhero who has a bunch of powers. The next day, Billy is selling a paper about an evil scientist, and he sells it to some thugs. And one of the thugs mentions something to his buddy about their boss, and he's like, "Hey Tony, you want to buy this paper and read about the boss?" And Billy's like, hey, what if their boss is the evil scientist? So Billy follows them. He sees them going to a hotel. Then he goes to a radio reporter and is like, hey, I saw these thugs go into this hotel. And the radio reporter's like, no, you didn't. Don't lie, kid. So Billy's like, if I can prove it, will you give me a job as a radio reporter? And the guy's like, okay, 12-year-old child, sure, why not? So then Billy transforms into Captain Marvel. He goes Shazam, he becomes Captain Marvel, and he takes things into his own hands. Dr. Sivana wants to destroy radio forever. That's his plan. He's gonna use a machine to destroy all radio and get rid of it. Well, I don't know why. It's not like a good plan. I don't know, like I understand it would make crime. I guess it would make crime easier, I guess. But also, it would make crime harder in some ways, right? Because I'm sure criminals use it's just such a confusing plan because there's not. I don't really understand his motive for this, but I get it's a pretty bad thing to do, I guess, and that's all you need. Shazam destroys the machine and stops the two thugs he saw earlier. Turns out Dr. Sivana isn't actually in the hotel. He's somewhere else, and he's just communicating through a TV screen. So, Captain Marvel can't, deal with him. So Sivana says, hey, Captain Marvel, we'll meet again. And Billy fucking Batson, the 12-year-old in a 30-year-old man's body, goes, I'm gonna fucking kill you, man. I'm gonna fucking kill you, dude. And was really funny to me. Because that is a 12-year-old in there saying, hey, I'm gonna fucking kill you, man. Which is really funny. They loved killing back in the day, didn't they? Batman was killing, Superman was killing, Billy fucking Batson was threatening to kill people. Anyways, after that, he transforms Shazam. Captain Marvel says Shazam and becomes Billy Batson again. So Billy's like, hey, radio guy, I got the proof right here. Radio guy comes over. He's like, wow, you do got the proof right here. Okay, you got the job. You're a radio reporter now. Woohoo! I did really enjoy this. I'm excited to see where it leads. Why is my camera so fucking bouncy, dude? It's shaking. It's fucking, Okay. As I was saying, it was good. I enjoyed it. I think Captain Marvel is a good character, and I am interested to see where this goes. Also in Wiz Comics number 2, which, by the way, is actually number 1, but it's called number 2. And this is because the first one was never complete and was just like a preview. It was supposed to be called something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But this is number 1, even though it's called number 2. There's also Ibis the Invincible. I'm only mentioning him because he's another Zatara clone, along with the other guy whose name I forget. There's also Golden Arrow, who I'm only mentioning because he looks like Oliver Queen a little bit, and Green Arrow is obviously a popular superhero, and Golden Arrow kind of looks like him. Action Comics 22. Clark and Lois are sent to investigate a foreign country. They run into an actress called Lita Laverne, who turns out to be part of one of the countries and is trying to make the other country look evil and like they're doing war crimes. She was going to commit a war crime against her own people and blame it on the other country. Which, I guess, yeah, that's a thing that you could do. The war is just getting started. And this is the start of a new arc for Superman, I guess. Which is cool. We haven't really seen, arcs yet,
It'll be interesting to see this story continue to unravel. Maybe. Adventure Comics 48 introduces Our Man. He has a cool power. Not a great issue, but a cool power. I like his power. All American Comics number 12. Nothing interesting going on there yet, except for when Green Lantern gets introduced, though. And then, this all brings us all circle around to Detective Comics 38. What's going on here? Wait. Batman. Also, things are a little out of order here right now, just because how they did dates in the 40s was a little weird on comic books. They would it was like shelf life thing. They put it like 3 months ahead. I don't know. Things are a little out of order. I don't know. I don't really need to mention that because it's not something that's going to affect you. It's just something that I have to worry about. It makes my job a little harder. But things should generally be fine on your end. Probably. Usually. Sometimes I'll mess up and things will be a little bit out of order. Not much I can do about that, right? Dick Grayson origin story, obviously, is the introduction of Robin, aka Dick Grayson. The Flying Grayson Act is... Okay, so Dick Grayson is part of the Flying Graysons, a family of 3. Mother, father, son. Dick Grayson is an acrobat. He's like 9 years old. They're all swinging on their ropes. And Dick Grayson touches down. He's like, okay, I'm done for the night because my parents are about to do their special act. And then during their special act... me and Doug comes up to the owner of the circus, Haley, and he's like, hey, pay me and I'll protect you. And Haley's like, no, I'm not paying you. So the bad guy, Luce, he pours some acid on the ropes. And then when the 2 parental Graysons go to do their act, their death-defying act, the ropes snap and they both die. They fall to their deaths. So Dick plans to go to the police after overhearing the gangsters threatening Haley again, saying, hey, you have to take our protection money now that you've seen what we can do. But Batman approaches him and says, hey, don't do that. I have a plan. The police force is owned by Zuko, who killed your parents, so they'll just kill you. So Batman takes Dick with him, says, yeah, okay, well, lie low for a while. Dick is like, hey, you're Batman. Okay, he tries to comfort Dick. He's like, hey, I'm Batman. I'm doing this because my parents were killed when I was 9 years old. And Dick is like, hey, we're the same. Let me work with you. And Batman's like, oh, fine, I guess. Man, fine. So, Batman reluctantly... Dude, get the fuck... Stop. Hey, stop. Okay, we're good. We're good now? Are we good now? Where was I? Batman. Okay, after months of training, Robin is finally ready for his first mission. Dick goes undercover as a newsboy, and some older kids threaten him, telling him he has to give them a third of his revenue. That every newsboy gives them a third of their revenue. So Dick tells Bruce about this, and the next day, Bruce is like, hey, go, you should follow them next time. So the next time, Dick follows them. He sees that their fat boss, who is Zuko, wants them to milk as many people as they can. Tailors, butchers, hairdressers, everyone they can, and newspaper boys, everyone they can. Just blackmail and extort as many people as possible. So that night, Batman, follows them around. He knows who they're going after, so he stops a bunch of the extorters. He beats them up, and to every single one of them, he's like, tell Zuko about me. Then, Zuko gets really fucking mad. He's pissed. Then he receives a package. A bat flies out of it, so he knows it's from Batman, and the note says, hey, you better not mess with the Kanan building, the building owned by Kanan, the under construction building that's being worked on by Kanan, some guy named Kanan. You better not mess with that because it's under my protection. Zuko's like, okay, we're going to really mess with it. I'm going to go there personally and see that the top half is destroyed, which will force Kanan to work with me. Which caused him to fall into Batman's trap. Zuko plans to destroy part of the building to threaten Kanan into paying, but then Robin, the boy wonder, jumps into the fray, beats up a bunch of the criminals. He's doing really well. He kills a couple of them. So I guess Batman hasn't implemented his no-kill rule yet, even though that's a 9-year-old killing people. There's a theme of 9-year-olds killing people in this video. I just realized.
Holy shit, that's a good title in Thumbo. Why can't 9-year-old, oh my god. When 9-year-old superheroes can't stop killing people. When child superheroes can't stop killing people. Why are child superheroes so bloodthirsty? I'm gonna workshop that. Okay, anyways. So Robin kills a couple of people. He just kicks them off the tall building. And he's doing very well. But then he ends up in a position where he's like hanging off a girder. And he's about to, one of the thugs is about to stomp on his hands and make him fall to his death. Then Batman swings in and saves the day. He beats up the rest of the thugs. He forces Blade, one of the thugs, with the same... This is specifically the thug that killed the Graysons, that did the acid pouring. He threatens him with the same death the Graysons face. He's like, hey, I got the poison, I got the acid right here. I'm gonna pour it on this rope, and you're gonna fall to your death. Blade is like, no, please don't. I'll sign a confession. So Batman makes him sign a confession. Zuko gets really mad that he was betrayed, so he attacks Blade and pushes him off the roof. Blade, falls to his death. But Robin gets a picture of this happening and is like, hey, we got a picture of you killing someone, Zuko. And then Zuko is arrested. Batman is like, hey, now that we've arrested your parents' killer and we've avenged them, do you wanna go back to being a circus performer? And Robin's like, nope, I wanna be a crime fighter forever now. Which means the dynamic duo has officially been born. Ba-dum-bum. And that, folks, is day 25. And let me tell you, there's some special things coming. Okay? There's going to be a third video here, right? There's going to be a third long form video. Maybe, probably after this video, maybe after tomorrow's video. Maybe. We'll see. There's going to be a third video, though. A third long video. Also, what I'm working on right now is going to encompass the first 3 months of this journey, pretty much, which is going to be September, October, November, and all the way from the first New Fun #1 until Sensation Comics #1, which is the introduction of Wonder Woman. And that'll be my first written video, where I sort of just write it all out. It's not going to be a compilation of all my videos until then. It's not going to be anything like that. It's going to be straight up an entirely new video that sort of documents my journey, and it's going to be written. And I'm working on that right now. It's not going to come out until at least November, maybe December. But it's going to encompass September, October, November, but it might not come out until December. We'll see. But yeah, I just want to announce that. Nobody's going to make it this far. I don't know why I talk about things at the end of these videos. Nobody makes it this far anyways. If you did make it this far, comment why can't 9-year-olds stop killing people? Say that. Why are 9-year-olds so bloodthirsty? Comment that if you made it this far. But I know you didn't. Alex, Spunky, Wesley. I know you didn't make it this far. Olivia. Susan. I can't think of a third girl's name. But anyways, I don't know what I'm doing. Goodbye, I'll see you in the next one. Peace. So we start with Feature Comics number 30. As always, just terrible. I don't like it. I don't like Feature Comics, and I never will. It's bad. It's so bad. I'm not gonna go on whole. I'm not gonna talk about it. We then get Batman number 1. Batman number 1. Sorry about that. Batman number 1. So it starts off with a retelling of Bruce's origin story, which is nice. I think it's pretty much the same as it was the first time it appeared. It's his classic origin story, right? His parents get shot. He is really sad, and he's like, I'm going to become Batman. And he trains a bunch, and he becomes Batman. In this issue, we see, once the real story begins, we see a voice that speaks over the radio. Right, it takes over the radio, and it's announced on every radio, and it announces itself as Joker. It's a guy named Joker, and he's a killer. And he's like, hey, I'm going to kill Henry Claridge at 12 tonight, and I'm going to steal his diamond, his big diamond. So the police hear this, and I'm like, okay, we'll put security around his mansion, and we'll have a bunch of police just with him in the house. So that night at 12, there's a bunch of police around him. He's literally within touching distance of so many police officers. They're like in a circle around him, but he falls to the ground and dies on the spot, a grin appearing on his face as he dies. And also, when the police inspect the diamond, it turns out it's been stolen. It's a glass diamond. And we find out Joker's plan, okay? How he did this, he thinks to himself. We see him thinking to himself. He did this by injecting Henry at 12 last night with a poison that works after 24 hours. Exactly 24 hours, and then it works and kills you. Which is how he did it. And he also stole the diamond the night before and replaced it with a glass diamond then. And that's how he did his little trick. For the next, his plan's awesome, by the way. It's a good plan. It's a cool plan. I wish they put it in more Batman media. I wish he did things like that. That's cool. I wish he did do more things like that. His next attack, he hides inside of a suit of armor, and he poison darts the guy, and he paralyzes the police and knocks them unconscious, and then he steals whatever he needs to steal. His third attack, Batman managed to be there also, and then they see Batman. The Joker's there and the bad guy's there, and they all see Batman. They're like, hey, it's Batman. And then for some reason, Batman jumps at the guy who's about to get killed by the Joker. He jumps at him because that guy pointed him out. I don't know why Batman did that. I don't know why Batman did that, but he literally jumps at him. He jumps at him. And he starts fighting him. He starts fighting him and the guards for some reason, which gives Joker a chance to run away. I don't know why Batman did that. They weren't shooting at him. They weren't attacking him. They just pointed him. All they did was point him out. And he started attacking them, which is a little psycho, Batman. I don't know why you would do that. You just let the Joker get away. Then the Batman, chases the Joker, who's already in his car because Batman was busy fighting the victim. But Batman manages to latch on. There's a whole chase scene. Joker ends up ditching Batman. There's also Joker's next plan. Oh, also the victim does die because Joker shoots him with a gun. Or just a real gun. He just actually shoots him. The next Joker plan, does the Dark Knight scene. That one Dark Knight scene where Joker pretends to be a cop. He does that here. He pretends to be the chief of police, and that's how he kills his fourth victim. Then we see Robin. Robin comes in. He follows the Joker to Joker's base, and Batman follows Robin without Robin knowing. And then Robin follows Joker to an abandoned building, and Joker hits him on the head with a tool and knocks him unconscious, and Robin wakes up tied up. Can I think of any other stories where Robin follows Joker into an abandoned building and gets hit on the head by something hard and wakes up tied up and it was all a trap done by the Joker? Can I think of any other stories where that happens? Maybe in 40 years. Maybe in 1980s. Maybe something like that could happen in the 80s or maybe the 90s, late 80s maybe. That'd be cool if that did happen. And maybe if that did happen, what if Robin then came back? What if Robin died then? That'd be crazy if Robin died in this situation, or if there was a future situation that was very similar that he died in also. That'd be weird. That'd be crazy, right? So, anyways, Batman has a scanner, an infrared scanner that can see Robin's footprints. So he follows Robin. He stops the Joker from killing Robin. The house is set ablaze during Joker and Batman's fight. Joker paralyzes Batman with gas and escapes, but Batman manages to recover very quickly. Batman saves Robin, and Robin mentions he heard the Joker say where he was going. So he's going after the Cleopatra necklace. That's where Joker's next target is. So Batman and Robin follow him and manage to defeat him. And this might be the first instance of Batman saving one of his villains, because Joker falls off the building, but Batman catches him and pulls him back up. Might be the first instance of Batman going out of his way to save a villain and not just letting them die. There's another story in here that has Hugo Strange in it, and there's giants and stuff. But the third story features Batman and Robin taking down a thief known as the Cat, who would eventually become Catwoman. So this is the first appearance of Catwoman as well. She did some cool disguises. She was stealing a necklace they were on a boat, and she was stealing a necklace. And she had some cool disguises and stuff. Robin does get a pretty good chance to shine here, and it's a pretty good issue overall. Batman #1 I enjoyed. Flash, now we move on to Flash Comics #3. Nothing too interesting, if I'm being honest. Just some pretty, generic plots. They're, fine. It's fun. It's fun. It's never not going to be fun to see, super speed and hawk people. But Nothing like too big. Nothing enough for me to talk about, really. Master Comics number 1 is a new thing we're starting. Master Comics now is a thing, I guess. Master Comics. So, Master Man is in here. He ate a pill and got super strength, but he got the pill when he was a kid, when he was a little boy. And a stranger gave him the pill, and he just took it. He just took the pill, which I guess means he doesn't know about stranger danger. You don't take pills random people give you. Okay, if actually, at any age, not even just a kid, if you are out in the street and some random guy in a trench coat gives you a pill, don't throw that away. Don't consume it. Don't consume it, because it's probably fentanyl or something like that, or just like poison. I don't know. Just don't do pills that people give you. Just don't do random pills that people give you. Just don't consume them. Just don't do that. I feel like that should be common sense, but apparently not, because superheroes are doing it. There's not much else in Master Comics number 1 other than Master Man. More fun comics number 53. We continue the Spectre's story. So he does manage to save his wife from being killed. He uses his eye beams to turn a guy into dust, which is cool. No, he kills him, actually. He doesn't turn him into dust. The guy falls unconscious and dies. Then there's another guy named Ricky, another thug. The Spectre just grabs him, and he turns into a skeleton, which is awesome. His fiance does end up getting shot by the main thug, but Jim touching her brings her back to life. Jim manages to call the police, and he pretends to be alive. He breaks up with Clarice. He moves out of his roommate's apartment and moves in on his own. So he basically gets rid of a civilian identity. He says, "Okay, I'll still be the detective, but I'm getting rid of all my personal stuff, and I'm gonna be And he makes his suit. He makes his Spectre suit. The classic one that we all know, the Spectre costume, and he becomes the Spectre officially. Also, this issue is only the Spectre story, from what I could tell. At least on the website I use, it was only the Spectre story, which is interesting. Mystery Men Comics number 8, nothing happening there. Slam Bang Comics number 1, nothing happened there. Smash Comics number 8, nothing happening there. Action Comics number 23. Now this is the second big one, because this introduces another special boy, just like the Joker, another special boy. So, in Superman, Clark and Lois are in the center of a war-torn country. If you remember the last video, there's 2 countries at war, Gavonia and Toran, I believe they're called. And Clark and Lois are now in the country. Lois is unconscious. She's knocked out. Superman's trying to, help her out. Clark is Clark. So he tucks her away unconscious in a safe spot and becomes Superman. So he can go up in the sky, catch all the missiles, destroy them, whatever. Temporarily stop the battle and the missiles and stuff. And then by the time Lois wakes up and comes to consciousness, Clark is back to his civilian attire, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Clark, Superman was just here." And Lois is like, "Whoa, no way. Superman was just here? Sucks that I missed him." Clark goes to the Army General, and he's like, "Hey, how long do you plan this war to go on?" And the Army General's like, "Okay, negotiations are going to be starting soon. We're doing like a truce. There's going to be a truce. A temporary truce, and we're going to meet up, and we're going to be like, okay, these are our terms for peace, and these are their terms for peace, and we're going to try to find a way to make peace and stop this war." But then, during the truce, later on, soldiers from the Toran army are attacked. Superman is talking to the Gavonian guy. He's like, "Hey, the army general that Superman talked to was Gavonian. That Clark talked to, sorry, same guy, but you know what I mean. Clark talked to the Gavonian general. The Gavonian general is like, "Hey, we're going to have a truce at this time." Then during that truce, Toran soldiers are attacked. Clark is like, "Hey, General, did you do that?" The General's like, "Nope." Clark walks away, but he has super hearing, so he hears General, whose name is Lupo, go, "They're getting too close. They know we faked it. They know we attacked them on purpose. So it turns out General Lupo did it on purpose. So Superman, then, obviously, being the genius he is, he follows Lupo. That sounds sarcastic. I do think he's Sorceress. I think this is the right move. I think following Lupo is the right move. He follows Lupo and spots him go into a cave. Superman follows him into the cave, and then he spies around a wall and sees Lupo talking to rocks. There's a rock. There's a face of rocks that's talking. And I don't know. There's a face of rocks that's talking. And Superman's like, the rocks stop talking, and Superman's like, "Hey, it's me. I'm gonna bash your head on the cave wall until your brains are splattered upon them unless you explain what's going on. And Superman did say that. He didn't say exactly that. He said, you don't want your brains bashed on these rocks, do you? That's not much better, to be honest. But it's similar. It's similar. So Lupo's like, okay, fine, dude, fine. I'll explain what's going on. Jesus Christ, dude, calm down. So Lupo's like, hey, there's this guy named, okay, Luthor has a plan, and he plans to engulf the entire continent in this war. So tomorrow he's gonna send some planes, and he's gonna attack a neutral country and make it look like Gavonia did it, and then they're gonna be involved in the war. And Luthor's trying to get the entire continent involved in this war, the entire continent of Europe involved in this war, so he can do whatever he can weaken the continent or something, so he can take over the world. I don't know. So Superman's like, hey, who's Luthor? But before Lupo can explain who Luthor is, the rocks shoot green laser beams out of him and kill him on the spot. The green rays don't work on Superman, and he destroys the rocks, which causes the cave to collapse. Superman, jumps out of the cave. He then does a maneuver that I would like to call flying, but it's not really flying. He jumps really high. He kind of flies. He does the whole, bend, squat and then release thing. But he does just jump really high. That's the highest he's ever jumped so far, I would say. But he doesn't really fly yet. It was kind of flying. Depends where he kind of flying. So, right, he goes to the planes. He goes to the area where he heard the planes were going to be, and he starts destroying them. He takes over one of the alien planes, and he uses the guns on it to destroy all the other ones, and he destroys all the planes. So he doesn't get the neutral country involved. Then, as Clark Kent, he tries to warn the two countries. He gets their governments in one building. He's like, hey, we gotta stop this. It's Luthor. It's this guy named Luthor that's trying to run this. But the guys, they don't care. They're like, no, I don't know who Luthor is. That's not real. You're lying, Clark Kent. You're lying. You're making this up. So we're gonna continue this war, and you can go shut up. Luthor actually gets wind of this, that Clark Kent is trying to, that Clark Kent somehow found out. And he's like, okay, my two thugs go kidnap Clark Kent. But then the thugs are idiots, and they kidnap Lois Lane. And when they're kidnapping her, one of them is like, hey, this isn't Clark Kent. And the other guy's like, nah, take her anyways. They don't know she's a reporter, by the way. They don't know she has a connection to Clark Kent. They don't know who this is. They just think this is a random woman. Their logic doesn't make any sense here. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. But they do it. And I guess it works out because obviously, Superman. They take Lois to Luthor, and Luthor's on like a giant blimp, so they take a plane up to the giant fucking blimp. And then it turns out all of Luthor's workers are under hypnosis. So, but one of them isn't under hypnosis. So she's like, hey, if you don't get Clark Kent here, I'm going to tell Luthor that you're not under hypnosis. So, the guard, not wanting to be under hypnosis, is like, okay, I'll do this for you. And then, Superman catches wind of this, whatever. He, jumps onto the blimp. Same way he did before. He, he flies. And then, he punches in. He knocks out the guard. And he's like, hey, Lois, I've come to save you. But then Luthor's like, hey, if you don't stop this, I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna kill Lois. I know I can't kill you, but I can kill her. So Superman's like, okay, handcuff me, baby. So Lois and, Superman are handcuffed and taken to Luthor. Turns out, Luthor is a super genius named Lex Luthor who plans to take over the world. And he's created this, hypnosis machine and this blimp and all these amazing genius things. And of course, just as always, in his first appearance, Lex Luthor is a rich super genius. Who's not bald, by the way. In this, he has short orange hair. He's like a buzz cut, almost. So, Lex is like, okay, I'm gonna kill you now. And he turns on this machine that uses green rays. And they shoot Superman. They slowly sap his strength. Almost like kryptonite, even though it's not named in this comic. And I don't think it is kryptonite. It works like a kryptonite ray would, right? It hits him and it slowly saps his strength. Oh, I think a kryptonite ray would be even worse than this. But it slowly saps his strength, and he just manages to escape, smash the machine, And as he's about to attack Luther, but Luther's like, please don't kill me, Superman. I'll pay you, please don't hurt me, Superman. So Superman's like, oh yeah, I won't hurt you. He leaves Luther on the blimp, grabs Lois, jumps off the blimp safely to the ground, so him and Lois are safe, but the blimp crashes, burns up, explodes, boom, presumably with Luther in it. So the blimp's down, Luther's theoretically dead, and Clark explains everything Luther did to the countries, and the countries agree to peace. Boom. And that is how Lex Luthor died in his first appearance, which is interesting. Well, he died in his first appearance. We'll have to see Action Comics. Sorry. I wonder what's going to happen in Superman number 4. That'd be crazy if Luthor returned. But he won't. He won't, of course. Actually, Lex Luthor would never return ever again in a comic. Lex Luthor has not been in a comic since 1940, which is crazy, right? They should bring this Lex Luthor guy back. He was a cool super genius enemy. I think he could be a really cool arch enemy for Superman. I think they should really bring him back. They should put him in that new movie. They should have put him in that new Superman movie. They should have made Lex Luthor the main villain. They need to bring him back, really, in my opinion. Wiz Comics number 3A. So the comic titles the comic numbers are a little confusing here, because remember, Wiz Comics number 1 was supposed to be something else, and then it was never released. So Wiz Comics number 2 is Wiz Comics number 1, but it's called Wiz Comics number 2. So number 3 is called number 3A because it's also number 2. So number 4 is number 3B because it's also number 3. So then number 4 is when the naming gets normal. Okay, so it goes number 2 is 1, number 3A is 2, number 3B is 3, number 4 is 4. In this Captain Marvel issue, I don't have a lot to say about it, but I do have to say it is a Federal Men plot. It is the Secret Empire plot from the early issues of Federal Men, which was a 7-issue plot. Like 2-3 pages per issue, but still 7 issues. Sivana returns, and he plans to become Emperor of the World. That's his plan. He wants to become Emperor of the World. And he there's like tanks and planes and stuff, and he's got like a secret, whatever. He's trying to overthrow the government and take over the world. Become Empire of the World. And Shazam, of course, saves the day. Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, saves the day. But that is all I had for you today. No video on Saturday, as always. But on Tuesday or Wednesday, I will be uploading a long written video that will cover all of September. And it's going to be written. It's going to be entirely new content. Okay, it's not going to be like clips stitched together. It's going to be entirely new content. It's just going to be me talking for like 30 minutes probably about the journey as a whole and how it's been so far. And I'm going to be talking about the comics and my thoughts on some more general things. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And it's going to be pre-written, and I hope it's going to do well. I think that video will be doing pretty well, probably, hopefully. Anyways, that's all I have to talk about today. If you... I know there's not many people who make it this far. There's no one who makes it this far, if I'm being honest. Right? Nobody makes it to the end of these videos. So I can kind of just say whatever I want. I do think... I do want this to do well. I want to, it is my passion. It's something I really enjoy doing, and it's something I want to do for, the 18 years that I have to do it for. But ideally, I would need to make, money from it to really make it that far, probably. But I just don't know how that's going to happen. I do know I'm going to do this for a year at least. And I'm going to read every comic, right? But I'm going to do the videos for a year at least. And I'm really banking on the written ones to see if I can get like a good amount of success. But that's important. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I guess it's just the end of the video. Okay. Whatever. If you made it this far, thank you. You probably didn't, but thank you anyways. I'm Rhino17. I hope you enjoyed. You can like and subscribe and comment if you want. If you want to, you could also share the video. I would love if this video did well. But I'm not putting that much over it. I can't edit it, by the way, because I have to go to my mother's house. But goodbye. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.